And you notice these names are some of the people, they still don't get along with the Western countries or America, etc. Another member, he gave the name, Tupac changed his name to Machiavelli after the artist. And when I was young, I had a very bad temper. And when I met Tupac, I came with that attitude like the world owed me something. And then Pac used to always tell me that you have an attitude as if I even owe you something. I'm trying to help you and you acting like I owe you something. And I had this attitude, even my parents used to always say, we get it from my Spanish side of the family, my African-American side of the family. Whenever me and my little brothers or my brothers, we display some anger, they say, you crazy Cubans, Puerto Ricans, just like your mother, etc. But Tupac had a joke. He said the reason why I had this attitude and this temper and I carry myself in a certain way is because I had the short man complex. He said it was because of my height. And he said, in his other words, it's called the Napoleon complex after the French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte. So that's how I got the name Napoleon. After he put this rap group together, we went from being the Dramacidal, Young Thugs, Outlaw Immortals, and we ended up just changing our name to the Outlaws, and we never changed it after that. The first record that I ever performed on, it sold 4 million records worldwide. But right at that time when things was running smooth, everything was going on the right track, I remember Tupac, he was going back and forth from a lawsuit in New York City, and he happened to one day walk into an elevator. When he walked into this elevator, 2 gunmen followed him in the elevator. They pulled out 2 guns. They shot him 5 times, and they took $40,000 worth of jewelry from Pac. A few weeks later, Pac got arrested from what he was going to trial for, and he spent 1.5 years in prison. Now, while he was in prison, he got approached by a guy by the name of Suge Knight. How many of you guys heard of Suge Knight? He got approached by a guy named Suge Knight. Suge Knight was the CEO of a record company called Death Row Records, and he was known to have a reputation on the streets. Death Row Records put an artist out by the name of Snoop Dogg, and they also put the artist out Dr. Dre. So Suge Knight, he was a guy that was about 6'7", 365 pounds. He wore all red. He come from a neighborhood of Bloods, and everybody around him was some gangsters with muscles, and he carried it himself in a way where the people in the music industry wasn't expecting people to get into the music industry with them type of attitudes. And he knew that if he teamed up with Pac, that basically it'd be all she wrote. So he approached Tupac. They was already friends. He told Pac just got shot by some gangsters in New York. Suge Knight had a little problem with these same called gangsters that did this to Tupac. A few months before that, a good friend of Suge Knight got into it with these same gangsters at a club in Atlanta, and they shot him and he killed them. So he already was familiar with these people that Pac was facing. So Suge told Pac, basically, I want you to sign to my record label. Your enemies will be my enemies. Let's do this together. You don't like this group, I don't like them. Let's put records out, let's team up, etc. He put the $1 million bond out, bailed Tupac out of prison, and he started to make records. One of the things that Suge Knight and Tupac said that they wanted to do, they didn't want to go around killing people, because Suge Knight, he left the streets, started a record label to leave that life alone. Tupac said the same thing. He left the streets to get into the music industry to leave that life alone. But what they said is that we would kill people with our music. We would destroy their careers. And this is what they was planning on doing. So when Tupac went to Death Row Records, that's when he did songs dissing, you know who, the other side of the people. I'm not going to bring it back up. But he started doing diss records, and he started talking bad about this group. And Tupac always said in the back of his mind that he's not doing it, hopefully, that anybody would get killed. I just want to end their careers, sell a few million records, etc. When Tupac went to Death Row, he also put a record out that sold 20 million records. Now, Pac was making money at this time. He just bought him a house in Malibu, California. He was driving in a Rolls Royce. He was making a lot of money. And we had a conversation with Pac. And this conversation was one of the first times that, as a youngster, it led to me starting to reflect about life or death and start to reflect about life. Because before Tupac went to Death Row Records, he always spoke about death. He always spoke about how he don't want to live anymore. How he wishes he can die. How he wishes enemies would kill him and he don't want to come back, etc. But when he got to Death Row Records, he started to speak about how he was making so much money, and he was looked at me and the rest of the Outlaws, and he said, remember how I used to always speak about death and I don't want to die. He said, it was a time in my life I truly didn't want to live anymore. He said, but now that I'm making all this money, I just bought this house, Rolls Royce, Bentleys, whatever. He said, I don't want to die anymore. He said, I want to be able to live so that I can enjoy my success. And unfortunately, a few months later, Tupac happened to be in Las Vegas, Nevada. He got into a fight with an individual. A couple hours later, a car pulled up on the side of Tupac. Suge Knight was driving. They opened fire. They shot Pac 13 times, and he died 6 days later in the hospital. When I first got the call that Tupac got shot, the first thing that went to my mind is, this happened before. Pac is a strong dude. I didn't think that things that was in the hand of God at this time. I thought that we was running things. I said, Pac is a strong dude. He gonna survive the shooting. He's gonna get back on his feet. We're gonna do some more records dissing our enemies, and it's gonna be on, etc. When I got to the hospital, when I looked at Tupac lying in the bed, that's when I knew how serious it was. Because Pac was an individual that you could barely ever get him to even shut his mouth. He was always loud. He was always the life of the party. He was always moving. He was always hyper. But when I seen Tupac laying in the bed, and it humbled him, he was in a state that he couldn't help himself. He had all type of wires down his throat. I never ever even expected to see him like that. Because it was a time in my life I might have thought he was Superman. After he took them 5 bullets, the way he always carried guns, the way he carried himself, I wasn't expecting that Tupac would end his life in this way so soon. So after the death of Tupac, some of us decided to go back to New Jersey, me, Gaddafi, and Fatal. The rest of the outlaws, the smart ones, they went to Atlanta to move in a house with Pac moms. When I got to New Jersey, I remember I got arrested, and I told myself once I get out of the cell, I'm going to go get Gaddafi, and I'm going to tell him, let's leave New Jersey. New Jersey is not a good place to be, and let's pursue our career in the music industry. Gaddafi told me, cool, you go to Atlanta, I'll meet you there in a few weeks. I decided to hook Gaddafi up with a little cousin of mine. I had a little cousin that had a rep. You guys know what a rep is, right? I want to make sure we got the same slang words in England and America. You guys know what a rep is? So my little cousin, he was known to have a reputation. Even though he was around 15 years at this time, but he always carried a gun on him, and he was known to use that gun. He'd done it before, and he wouldn't have had no problem doing it in the future. So I told Gaddafi, let me introduce you to my little cousin. He's crazy. If you need anything, he gonna hold you down. So I left, got on the plane, went to Atlanta. Tupac died in September. I left in October. I get a phone call in November that Gaddafi just got shot. And when the person that called me and told me Gaddafi got shot, the first thing that comes to my head is, he all right? Matter of fact, who shot him? I had so much anger in me, the first thing that I was thinking about is revenge. And she said, Napoleon, it was your little cousin that shot Gaddafi. So I said, the first thing that came to my head after that is that my little cousin would never pull a gun out and shoot Gaddafi. Maybe it's a mistake, this lady is lying. I got off the phone, I contacted my little cousin, and he played it off very well. He said, no, I didn't shoot Gaddafi. When you hear this news from, man, whoever told you that is lying, this and this and that. A few hours later, Gaddafi passed. I kept getting phone calls that your cousin killed Gaddafi. How can your cousin do this? Gaddafi boys is calling me crying. I called my little cousin back. I said, look here, man, you got people all around Newark, all in Montclair. They keep calling. You got eyewitnesses that said that they seen you shoot him, etc., etc. My cousin admitted that he shot Gaddafi. He said, well, to be honest with you, I did shoot Gaddafi, but it was a mistake. My cousin was high on drugs. He pointed the gun to the face of Gaddafi. The gun accidentally went off, and he took the life of Gaddafi, and he was only 17 years old. My cousin was only 15 years old at the time, and he had to go to prison. He decided to turn himself into prison, and he did 10 years of his life. From 15 years old to 25 years old, that you're going to take so much advantage of your life, my cousin had to spend it in prison. At the same time, me and the Outlaws, we continued to do music. We put a record out on our own, and this record called Still I Rise sold 1.5 million records worldwide. We started to make a little money, and at this time of my life, I started to forget about the death of Tupac, the death of my friends, any type of hardships that I went through. I started to forget about it because I was making money. And at this point in my life, I was able to buy 3 brand new houses. Every time a brand new car would come out, I would be the first one at the dealership racing to get that car. I was living a life, basically everything that I wanted, I had the money to do it. And I started to notice that the more that I started to make money off this industry, the more success that I started to have, I started to feel empty in the inside. I started to go to sleep every single night in a huge house, a big house, by myself. And every night that I would lay my head on the pillow, I would tell myself, how come I'm depressed? I would literally sit there for hours on the pillow with my eyes open saying, I must have not purchased something, or I must bought the wrong car, or I must bought the wrong house, because it have to be something out there that I can buy to make me happy. So I would wake up and I would try to see, I literally thought that happiness was lying in me spending my money in the correct ways. I would wake up and say, well, maybe I need to go to Puerto Rico, maybe I need to take a trip, because I got the houses, I got the money, but I'm missing something. So I need to know what do these other rappers have that make them look happy on television that I don't have. Maybe I need to buy some more bling bling. Let me go buy some jewelry. Maybe I need to buy this car. Let me go get this. Maybe I need to party. Maybe I need to do this. And everything that I was doing to search for happiness, I noticed as soon as I get it, I will be happy for a few minutes, and then I'm back depressed again. And I started to get to the point in my life that